All righty, folks. As we talked about in the daily financial news, home builders, new construction is excited for 2025. We saw a very large move in the upward direction for home builders, which frankly surprised me. I got it wrong. I thought the higher rate environment would cause home builders to pull back. Yet what happened was the election, actually, the new administration has excited home builders. They see federal land being released. They see less regulation. They see perhaps incentives for first-time home buyer construction, not buyers, folks. So there's a lot of hope that home builders are going to be producing more and more supply. I want to welcome the guys to the show. Ty, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, good to be here. Happy Monday.
Hey, so I wanted to ask you, Ty, we talked last week, or actually we missed last week. I was curious, what has happened in your business post-election? Have you got more offers, more listings? What is the general feel as we wrap up 2020?
Two things. I think what makes the most sense to talk about is a bifurcated market. You have haves and you have have-nots. And so some people were, regardless of the outcome of, who you were for, blue or red or whatever, generally everybody was relieved it's over. Yes. And then you saw people making decisions. Hey, we're going to sell this property. Let's get it on the market before the end of the year, or let's do the wholesale deal, or whatever the case may be. So that was number one. However, there's a lot of people still that, are like sidelined because of the rates, and people that were just completely like, what the hell is going on? The Fed dropped 50 basis points and the interest rate was, 6 when I was looking 8 weeks ago, and today it's 7. What's going on? So I think a bifurcated market is the best way I would describe it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Carlos, we're going to come to you. I'm curious, since the election, have you noticed more people calling for repairs, remodels, flips? What's going on in your business?
Well, I want to say I met a gentleman named Bruce. I went to do some repairs. And for him, his expression of after the election is hope won. And he felt relieved, and this is an older gentleman. And he goes, and then I have another friend who said, Carlos, I don't care who would have won. I still got to go to work.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of us. Yeah.
But overall, I think there is a sign of hope of, hey, I want to do more. I want to, I can tell you a week or 2 weeks from there, it was dry. It was cold.
Dead, right?
Yeah, it was dead. It wasn't. Home Depot was vacant. You could probably see tumbleweeds going in there. It was dry. It was really, really quiet. Yeah. But now I go there and you start seeing the stream coming. So I'm glad. that it is where it's at. It does bring hope, and I also understand that there's a lot of things changing. As he's not in the office yet. There's a lot of time in between.
Yeah.
And
64 days, I think 63, 64 days. So it's really interesting because it'll be interesting, Carlos, because again, I got to tell everybody, I love owning my mistakes. The home builders surprise me. Mm-hmm. And again, home builders are very interesting because they're looking out quarters, not days, weeks, or months. And what they're basically saying is 2025 will be better than 2024. And again, you got to remember, interest rates are up 100 basis points. So what would be very interesting for me in your business, Carlos, is what happens to the fixer-uppers, right? Do the Jason Pritchards of the world continue to buy? And I think the answer is yes. Are they continually finding deals? What do other investors do? Like, Mike Zuber, who's a casual investor, definitely not at the scale of Jason. I do think that people are going to put capital to work. So we're definitely be paying attention to that. Let's bring Matt into the channel and really talk about what's going on in mortgage. Matt, what's going on?
Yeah, so unfortunately for everybody who's just like, I don't care what happens, I just want lower mortgage rates. A lot of the stuff that we're seeing is, pointing towards, staying at 7% through the end of the year, getting into, 2025. And it wasn't that long ago. I remember all these people in all these cases for how we're going to get to 5.5% by the summer. We might be at 6.8 in the summer next year, but you know, kind of along the lines that you guys were talking, I'm looking at consumer data and conversations I'm having more than I'm, you know, digging into pieces of data. And the last couple of weeks, it feels like there's been more activity. Open houses have more action. Investors are calling me. And I think it's interesting to think about too. Q4 is always a slower time in real estate. Mm-hmm. For somebody who's going to buy a house and rehab it, and 90 to 120 days from now is going to have it on the market, it's the perfect time for investors. Exactly. Go out there, find a deal, rehab it, get everything rocking and rolling. And February, March, when the spring market starts to spring, you're going to have a nice remodeled product at probably one of the better times to have a property listed. And so, yeah, like back-to-back weekends, activity and people into contract in my personal business. And, you know, I'm a small guy with a small sample size, but I think that is happening all over the place. And one quick thing on your builder stuff, Mike, a lot of interesting conversations with sellers who are having trouble selling. And I tell them, Sacramento, it's 30% of the market. I was just in Texas and I talked to them about all the new build stuff that's going on there, how that is, you know, slowly but surely gaining traction and resale. There's less transactions happening, and like, just do what the builders do. The builders have a solve for affordability. It's called throwing money at buying the interest rate down, whether temporary or permanent. So I had a seller who's selling something in Austin, and he said, I thought about maybe doing something like this. And it's essentially offer credit to make the buyer's mortgage better. That is light years better than $50,000, $100,000 price reduction. Just come out and say, seller willing to give $25,000 for temporary or permanent rate buy down. And you solve, to a certain extent, the biggest issue for buyers. This payment makes me uncomfortable. I'm not going to buy. Okay. What if we buy it down and you save $450 a month off of that payment? Okay. Now I'm ready to buy. Like, that's the builder's secret, and any seller can do it. And as a buyer, you can get that incentive on a resale house if you negotiate that credit for the seller. That's the stuff I'm seeing going on right now, which I love, man. Team buy side all day.
There you go. There you go. Ty, we're going to go back to you. And the reason I want to go back to you is you and I together have over 50 years, almost 60 years experience in real estate. We've seen a couple of buyers markets in our time. I've been very clear. We're in one now. This one might even go to the summer of next year. The longer rates stay above or at or near 7%. What's your word of wisdom for investors? Because again, I think first-time home buyers are definitely in a tough spot, right? And we're seeing that in the numbers. National Association of Realtors, first-time home buyers are making up about 22 to 24%. They should be 40%, right? Investors are making up some of that slack. So what is your words of wisdom to investors who might be nervous, freaked out about rates? What are you telling them?
2 words: buy better. Buy better. And I'll give the breakdown. I'll give a 40-second breakdown. So what does that mean? Better in terms of price. I think that always makes sense. Negotiate a little better. Make sure that you have enough margin. Make sure that you also have some safety net. What if rates go to 7.5% or 8%, right, during your flip? I've always advised you don't want to be in these long stretched out 4, 5, 6 month rehabs.
Yes.
And then above the median is just very dangerous. I've seen people time and time again get their teeth kicked in above the median with real long projects. If they're short, 30, 45 days, to me, that's palatable because you kind of have a sense of what the market will be in 6 weeks.
Yep.
Beyond that, it's really hard to say. The last thing I'd say, what does buy better mean? Better school districts, better neighborhoods, better, just the way that block looks. You want something that's going to really be marketable and something that's going to be highly desired. The market will not be as forgiving if you buy in a C- or convince yourself that a D neighborhood is a C neighborhood. The market will not be as forgiving. So you just got to buy better.
Yeah, and I want to echo that. The other thing I would tell it, in about a buyer's market is most people watching this, you're not going to like to hear this, but you need to hear this. You're not writing enough offers. You're just not writing enough offers. You're not following up enough, right? The game of getting a great deal, the game of putting that, life-changing deal on the table, it takes work, right? You got to write offers. You got to write more offers. Most of you should be writing 5 to 8x more offers, right? If you ask yourself how many offers you wrote this week and the answer is 1, you're not writing enough offers, right? As investors, we care about the numbers and the performance of the asset. If you're a home buyer and it's your forever home, there's only one of them, right? So the mindset is completely different. But as investors, they're just not writing enough offers. Carlos, we're going to come back to you. And one of the reasons I wanted to come back to you was one of the big hopes for 2025 is a lot less regulation in building. I know you've been a part of some very significant new construction, some additions. Let's just paint the vision of what, like, all the permitting and costs and all of those things, the timelines, right? All of these things are they just slow down the process and they cost a lot of money, right?
Right. Well, honestly, make friends with contractors right now. I think one of the things that you got to, if you're a homeowner, what I'm seeing now is homeowners not really, they're thinking of, can I add more to the current house that I have? Could I add another room or an in-law suite? I do get calls because I work with other contractors and I do work for other contractors, and we converted garages, for their in-laws,
Right.
and we converted. Yeah. And so, I would really, really start thinking about being creative. I've heard other investors here locally that are saying, hey, I'm not touching Fresno no more or California at all. I'm going out to Indiana, for example, to purchase. So I think hopefully our city, I know that laws are changing and things are regulations are moving. Hopefully they will loosen up a little bit where it will streamline, because it's taking right now to do an ADU 12 months, 16, 18 months. It's too long.
Crazy. It's crazy. So again, California. And again, I fell for the trap. I mean, I've documented it on this channel a couple of years ago. I tried to do an ADU, tried to do 2 of them. And the timelines were nuts. The money they wanted from me was nuts. Yes. It's like too hard. You guys sold me a good story. I bought it and lost 10 grand. Crazy. Thank you. Yeah. So again, hopefully that stuff gets streamlined. Again, that's one of the big hopes we're getting. Again, the builders, frankly, the builders are betting on it. That 2025 is going to be a deregulation environment. Let's hope King Gavin Newsom is paying attention. Let's see if he does something. Matt, I want to go back to you again. I think home builders are kind of telling us the way. Why don't you kind of paint the vision for a home seller? Like, what are the numbers? Like, what does a point get somebody? A couple of points? Like, I loved your idea of, hey, if you're selling an existing home sale, put it in the listing. You're going to buy down, you buy down the buyer's rate to some other lower number.
Yeah, I mean, just some rough numbers so people understand it, because this is the conversation I had with an Austin seller, and it's a client of mine who's got a condo owned for a long time, has got a lot of equity, is going to sell and shift that equity to other projects and stuff he has going on. He's going to sell this condo for $1 million, and in a market, especially in Texas where there's more inventory, he doesn't want the thing to sit. He wants it to sell. What do I need to do to sell? That's what builders say, because they want to sell out their whole development at the highest price, soonest date possible. And you take a mortgage, and granted, it depends on what the interest rate is and what the rates are. But just on average, if you tick down the price in $10,000 increments, you're going to save $75 or $80 a month on your PITI. Yep. So if you lowered it by $25,000 and you told someone $175 less per month because we lowered it by 25 grand, it might not move the needle enough to go from 6,200 to 6,025.
No.
But you take that same $25,000 and you say, we're going to give you a 2-1 buy down. So you're going to have a 499 in year 1, a 599 in year 2, and a 699 in year 3. In year 1, they're going to save over $1,000 a month. Right. In year 2, they might save $550 or $600. And so we're talking major changes. And that's the exact same stuff that people are looking at when they walk in a new build. Oh my gosh, I can buy this place for $600 and with a 499 attached to it. And sometimes that's even permanent, right? Because builders can do, really massive stuff. But as a buyer, maybe you do that that temporary buy down. Maybe you do a permanent and it comes down by $400 or $500. But we're talking about hundreds of dollars per month with buy down versus $75 if you get a little bit of a discount on the property. And so at least explore that. And it's not for everybody. It's just like, I was talking about earlier today on a call, like everybody's scenario is different. There's not a one size fits all, but that's the kind of stuff that sellers should be thinking about. Because there's some sellers that have been on for 85 days and it might be price, it might be marketing, it might be a number of things. But buyers should be out there and negotiating. One last thing I do want to say too, because I heard Carlos mention it. And whenever I see Ty, I think creative financing. Like that's the kind of stuff that I see really winning, even though it doesn't have much to do with me, right? It's like, I can't help you get a mortgage if you create, some sort of cool purchase where the seller's holding a note and you're assuming that their first mortgage or subject to, but I see more and more of that stuff. Another call last night where somebody calls me and it's like, there's this opportunity. It's, a home that's got an existing mortgage. We might be able to work out something. And so that's fun, interesting, exciting for the buyers and investors in this real estate market is if there's some pain on the sell side and stuff's not moving, getting creative, painting the picture so everybody understands it, is going to be how to create some huge wins.
Love it. Love it. Ty, we're going to go back. We're going to wrap this up. Again, Ty, you are part of our school community. You're going to be in Vegas with me for February 15th and 16th. What are your closing thoughts for folks?
Pay attention to Michael Zuber, man. I mean, that's he's been calling this. If you watch Daily Financial News, Friday Financial News wrap up, you've been talking about this market and higher for longer. There's no surprises. I think for somebody, I hope people really take on, like the confidence of like, you've been talking about what's going to happen this year and it's all unfolding. Higher for longer. The market's weird. Creative financing is a great tool. Write better offers, all of it. So get yourself to Vegas. Buy tickets. Eventbrite.
Yep. We're less than 90 days away. Yeah, less than 90 days away. So
book your hotel, book your flights, get yourself to Vegas in February and get involved, get involved with the school community, get involved. So
yeah, very, very cool. Well, Carlos, again, you are my guy. We keep sending you work orders, but you do work for other people. If somebody wanted to get a bid or a quote, wanted to get involved in an ADU or something, this is the number to reach out, right? They put this number in and they get your lovely wife, Martha, correct? Oh, I muted you. Sorry, buddy. That was on me.
Yes, definitely. It is the number. And yeah, give us a call and definitely we'll be able to help you out, assist you. And also give you the other resources that if you may are looking for, we could definitely advise you.
Yeah, again, you're planted in Fresno. You are the guy that lots of people go to. So again, you are highly networked. So again, if you have any interest, you own stuff, you can do maintenance, do service checks, whatever you want, give this guy a call, 559-681-8431. And Matt, the mortgage guy, last but not least, I think one of the things that we've never done and we should have is if you are a home seller who has had a listing for more than the average days on market, I strongly suggest you reach out to Matt, the mortgage guy, greatmortgagebroker.com, and at least have a conversation about what a buy down looks like. Home builders have solved the problem. They are not playing a 7 or 8% mortgage game. They are playing something less. Matt can help sellers understand what that looks like, right?
Yeah, and I'd be happy to, just a conversation. In a market like this, who you work with matters. So if they're working with somebody like Ty or some of the great real estate agents we know, like this stuff is already going to be spoken into them. If you're a seller trying to do it on your own, or you hired Aunt Sue because she makes a great casserole around Thanksgiving, like Aunt Sue might not be as involved in the real estate market doing stuff every day like Ty and the great agents, but happy to do that. And for all the buyers, I see this so much, and I just say it till I'm blue in the face. Like, you don't want to be scrambling when an opportunity presents itself. Get yourself pre-approved. Carve out 30 minutes of your life to upload some supporting documents. Because what happens to some people is, I was having some conversations yesterday. I was setting up my week and I made a couple of client calls. They don't know what product they're using. They don't know what products they qualify for. And so how are you shopping for real estate? How are you thinking about putting an offer where you don't know if it's going to be DSCR or conventional or hard money? Like that stuff goes first. Then when you run numbers, like you're actually able to formulate an offer. Like you said, you might throw 5, 6, 8 offers a week, but don't be the person who throws those offers out saying, I want to get this price because that sounds good. Say, I need to get this price because based on this mortgage that I know I can get and this rent, this is going to make sense for me. So get yourself pre-approved. It's not that hard. I pay for credit reports and I pay with my time and my resources with the staff. It's free for a buyer, right? A pre-approval is free no matter who you talk to. And so do yourself that favor and get the numbers dialed in. GreatMortgageBroker.com if you want to get started with me and the team.
Folks, at the end of the day, we're going to wrap this up with some words of wisdom from TYLG. Buy better. That's it. Buy better. Guys, you're all amazing. Take care. Later.